Hey guys, Fixit TV here, and I'm back with some more news for Corepunk now that it has entered early access. Today on this video, we're going to split it in two. I'm going to have a look on some news and the way devs are thinking about what to do in the near future, and the second part will be the patch notes of the 10th and 11th of January. Regarding crafting professions and system integration into Corepunk, the devs put an announcement saying that all crafting profession will receive a fully fleshed out progression loop, and game systems will start to integrate into a cohesive logic as originally envisioned. So since August the Alpha 4 was, we still haven't seen the logic yet. This will significantly enrich the gameplay experience and deepen the strategic and immersive aspects of Corepunk. Let's hope so. As we get closer to the release of these advanced gameplay features, we will provide detailed explanations about how these systems will function. Well, the closer is 11 months left until Christmas 2025. Let's see when and how they're going to explain it, and beyond that, even if they do explain it, whether this actually is going to be a nice progression loop regarding crafting professions and other systems. Tier 3 items. We have reverted to our original idea for active of balance, where the stat value from Tier 2 and Tier 3 artifacts are equivalent. Please note that, equivalent. The main progression between tiers now comes from the addition of a third stat on Tier 3 artifacts. This extra stat creates a significant power spike compared to Tier 2 as originally intended. The previous scaling of all Tier 3 stats above Tier 2 levels was an unintended error, and we have corrected this oversight. Well, equivalent stats, so they're slightly a little bit better. However, during this patch, we still have no drops from the bosses. We have no upgrade kits on the vendors because they removed them. So we're just gonna do from Tier 2 to Tier 3 for one extra stat, which they say is going to be significant power. And also, this was an unintended error they have corrected. So this error, to my knowledge, was since August, September, October, November, December, January. So 5-6 months. Now we have this unintended error we've all been struggling with, people getting shot in PvP, and then 6 months later they fixed that unintended error and they went back to their original idea. So if they had the idea of how this works, why did we have 6-7 months of all the other stuff that was really a hassle? So what does this mean for the players regarding the Tier 3 items? According to the devs, the Tier 3 artifacts continue to offer a notable advantage over Tier 2 artifacts in terms of character power and build flexibility. However, Tier 2 artifacts remain highly competitive and in many scenarios can surpass Tier 3 items when optimized with the right stat combinations and higher quality tiers. This adjustment introduced the necessary balance for both PvE and PvP content, ensuring a fair and rewarding experience across all gameplay modes. So if Tier 2 remain highly competitive and in many scenarios can surpass Tier 3 items, why would I want to have Tier 3 items? Why should I grind more? Big question here. Also, if this brings the necessary balance for PvE and PvP, ensuring fair and rewarding experience, where does that come from? If it's only one stat on Tier 3 and the stat is going to give a significant power spike, and then they continue saying what this means for the players, that Tier 2 can actually surpass Tier 3 items if you pick the right combo. I really don't know how this is going to work, because the previous statement from the devs says that Tier 3 and Tier 2 is going to be equivalent, and the third stat on the Tier 3, significant power spike compared to Tier 2, and then continue on the same topic, say that Tier 2 can surpass Tier 3 items. I don't know what they have in mind on this one. It kind of confused me, but I suppose we're gonna have to wait and see. The next topic in the dev update was about mana cost and stat balancing. One major source of imbalance in the game, as they said, has been the disproportionate value of certain stats over others. This is a natural aspect of tuning during development, and we are actively addressing it. A key example is mana, which has been significantly undervalued. During alpha testing, mana as a stat was nerfed so heavily that it became almost irrelevant. Consequently, mana regeneration also lost its importance, further disrupting the balance of certain builds and playstyles. So we're gonna have to focus on a lot more stats from the looks of this in order to have a character which is going to be balanced, and we can do things with a character without, mid-fight losing all the mana. However, they carried on with this topic a little bit, saying what is going to change regarding the mana. So starting with this patch, we're going to see a little bit later on this video, players will need to manage their mana pool and regeneration more strategically. I'm not sure what they mean by strategically in combat, but okay. If a player decides to stack multiple offensive stats or healing stat, they will now face corresponding mana costs. This means you can still create high damaging builds with powerful burst potential and other, but you will need to balance that with sufficient mana resources to sustain your abilities. This change makes mana and mana regeneration relevant again, creating more thoughtful builds and stat allocation decision. I don't disagree with the theory of this, but when you're going to see how this works in the game, and I will try and add a little thing or just tell you a thing. Imagine you have a level 15 blast medic who is full spell power, and his first ability, the bouncing bomb, now costs 250 mana. I don't know how we're going to sustain that if you want to be a good DPS, but this needs a lot more work after I had a little look on the game, how this works, and we'll see more details on this a little bit on the patch notes further down this video. During their little announcement update for us, they also touched a little bit on the hero balancing, which they didn't give us a lot of details, just that they want to balance the heroes quite a bit, and they're doing the first touch up on the hero balancing in this patch, we're going to see further down as I said, and they need a lot more data in order to fix the balance between the heroes. Don't forget we only have 6 out of 18 heroes as well in the game at the moment, but expect more significant updates to hero balancing in the near future, pretty much something they use all the time when they're not ready for something, as we continue to refine and polish this aspect of Corepunk. Yes, the characters do need balancing, but like I said, they did a little touch up on this patch note, so stick with us a little bit longer and we'll see it soon enough. Next on the list was Synthesis Machine update. So they're introducing new recipes to the Synthesis Machine that allow for logical upgrades of items. The logic is as follows, as they said, common item times 6 equals 1 uncommon item, and so on. What we know so far is 6 common make an uncommon, 7 uncommon make a rare, 8 rare make an epic. I don't know if that changes, but we already kind of had that. The new thing here from this news update was that this system will apply to runes and chips will be limited to tier 1 and tier 2. Additionally, these upgrades will open paths to overclocked runes and chips, which will include unique effects. This enhancement aims to add more depth to the progression system, empowering players to experiment with new combinations and effects while making use of previously underutilized resources. It is an exciting step towards creating a more dynamic and rewarding itemization system. I will not argue with this. The Synthesis Machine gives a lot of possibilities, also allowing a lot of the characters to have the ability to craft pretty much anything they want without maxing out a single profession when it comes to crafting. Also, yes, there will be more depth in the progression system with overclocked chips, overclocked runes. The question here is, are they going to be balanced when we start doing this, or are we going to go through the same process we went with the tier 3 artifacts being overpowering and then back down again to the original design? Seems like everything they thought originally works better than the stuff they're trying right now, but they have 11 months to show us what they can do and how the game can be nice and balanced and without lag, and then we can talk again about this. And closing this little update about what they think to do in the future and the upcoming changes, the dev said, looking ahead, this update is just the beginning. Over the next few weeks, we'll continue improving and expanding the game, bringing it closer to our vision. Each step we take is designed to enhance the gameplay experience and bring all systems together in a seamless and engaging way. Soon, you'll be able to dive into Corepunk with its full range of intended features and see for yourself what the game has to offer. I'm really looking forward to it because I've been diving since August, now it's January, it's been a long time and I still haven't seen all systems together in a seamless and engaging way. We haven't seen the balance of the characters yet, and I'm not going to go through the list, we've been this to different videos, but let's hope that during the 11 months before release that we have ahead of us, all this is going to actually come together. So let's go ahead now and have a look at those patch notes on the 10th and 11th of January. First class, they did some changes, was the Ranger, and they changed the Baran stance mana cost from the old 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 up to 2, 4, 7, 11, 16, so more mana. And also in the Inferno Arrow, mana cost has been adjusted and now is increased by 20% of spell power. The next class they went for was the Shaman, and here we have a lot more changes, where the Totemic Fury mana cost was 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. The new one starts from 15 all the way up to 55, plus 20% for its spell power, heal power, and shield power that you have. So the mana cost on this one will be high. Change the Lightning Strike mana cost from 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, starting at 10, skipping 15, going straight to 20, 30, 40, 50, plus 20% of spell power. Also a very high mana cost, especially if you are a DPS and you get your spell power to do damage, the more mana you're going to burn. Plus, I suppose, the extra 10 per second for the ability. And it goes really high. Also, Chain Lightning Strike damage scaling from spell power. They went from 60, 70, 80, 90, 100% to the new one, which starts at 60, but then it lowers down a bit to from 70 to 65, from 80 to 75, from 90 to 82.5, and from 100 to 90. So this is a nerf. So we increase the mana cost and then we nerf the damage. The Shaman got hit again. Electrifying Aftershock damage has been adjusted from 60% of spell power to 6, 10, 14, 18, 22, plus 20% of spell power for the damage. So we'll see how that's going to work out. A new mechanic has been added for Spirit Fusion. Its subsequent Lightning Strike costs 5% more mana. So they're trying to make you not to spam that Chain Lightning on the Shaman. Moving on to the Blast Medic, they've changed the dual purpose bouncy bomb mana cost from 10, 15, 25, 45, 75 to the brand new, starting at 50 now, 5 mana more than before, 15, 25, 45, 75, 115 on level 5, plus 20% for its spell power, heal, and shield power you have. So all three stats go into that one. Also change the Flashbang Shield Generator mana cost. So from the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, we're jumping to 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 20% healing and shielding power. Seems like the more you focus on something, the higher your mana cost is going to be for specific skills, depending what they do. Change the whole decoy mana cost as well, and the new one goes, it's exactly the same as the old one, but it does have a 20% increase in mana for each spell power, heal, and shield power that you have invested into. The mana cost, I think, for people that already know a way of playing the game, is going to be insane if they don't adjust to this very quickly and understand it. Infiltrator, precast of Mind Throw has been changed to 0.25 seconds and Carpet Bombing to 0.12. Infiltrator Mind Throw has now damage over time effect that triggers only if the mine is activated. The damage over time lasts for 7 seconds and deals damage once per second, with the total dot damage equaling 50% of the mine's explosion damage. The mana cost for Mind Throw and Carpet Bombing has been adjusted and now increases by 20% of spell power. Again, the 20% seems to be in all skills and all classes. Throwing Dagger, Poison now deals 60% spell damage, magic damage for 7 seconds, and Bleeding now deals 100% attack power physical damage for 7 seconds. It feels like the Infiltrator got good, and the Destroyer is the one that got the sword stick again, ladies and gents, because improved Destroyer's Battle Frenzy animation. That's all I get. I wonder if that class was actually balanced from the beginning, or we're just skipping a little bit. On the 10th of January patch notes, they carry on with some game changes as well. The value of attributes on tier 3 artifacts has been adjusted. We already talked about this a bit earlier on the update they gave us. So they have the same individual attributes values as tier 2 artifacts. More balancing on tier 3 artifacts might be introduced in the near future. Existing tier 3 artifacts owned by players will receive updated attribute values in line with new balance. So this time they don't tell us to throw them away and make new ones. They're going to change it. The relative value of attributes will be preserved. The total number of points reflecting the artifact power will remain unchanged. Also, please note, artifacts that had borderline values prior to rebalance may gain or lose 1 point due to rounding adjustments. Adjusted the distribution of elite monsters in camp. Small camps can now spawn 1 to 3 monsters, and medium camps can spawn 3 to 6 monsters. Improved Archosaurus attack animation. So generally speaking, we already knew about the T3 to T2 changes because they were pretty clear on the announcement letter before the patch notes were released. As far as the spawn camp, I see a little inversion here. We went from 4 mobs to spawning 8. Most of the camps made it a bit difficult for some people to farm those. And now we're taking another step backwards, making it 1 to 3, 3 to 6, changing the size of the camps. I don't mind having different size camps. That's a good thing, but that was part of the original design anyways. I don't know how we skipped all these designs because we keep seeing that we have an original concept, and instead of trying to implement that, we try something completely different, say, oh, we're just going to go back to what we had. I don't get that back and forward, but you know. Also, from the synthesis machine, because we all know it's the most confusing topic, so don't forget to check my video, how synthesis machine works here on YouTube. They've made some changes here as well, introduced new and adjusted existing recipe machine recipes, synthesis machine recipes. Recipes for tier 3 crafting from tier 1 tier 2 artifacts have been updated, so you can now synthesize a tier 3 artifact using 2 uncommon tier 2 artifacts and 1 epic tier 1 artifact. Well, this way we can use stuff that we didn't use before. Added recipes for upgrading the quality of runes, added recipes for upgrading quality of chips, added recipes for upgrading quality of tier 3 artifacts, added recipes for upgrading T2 weapons and upgraded overclocked versions, fixed issues with non-functional recipes. Recipes for upgrading the quality of T2 weapons will be added in the next patch. Further down on this, the next one didn't have it. I like this change on the synthesis machine. The only thing I will say again is like they added recipes for upgrading quality of chips, and the one I was interested was upgrading quality of tier 3 artifacts because I have a few. We have to find a way to find these recipes. This is one thing I would like to see on the synthesis machine, to have a list of recipes, how you can use this instead of us having to guess, go to Discord, go Google it, go somewhere, you know. It would be nice to give us a guideline about this because it's very vague and people don't know what to do. And it's normal because there is no guidelines what you need, even as an example, to apply this to everything else. So we would need a little help here for most of the player base. And finally, some known issues where it's currently impossible to craft the upgraded version of the Warrior Cyber Sword, and it's currently impossible to craft the upgraded version of Arcane Visage for those that are going to dwell into the crafting menus. So this was the patch notes for January 10th. But the very next day, they also continue with another small patch. So let's go and see what they changed. As I mentioned, this is a double patch update here. So on the 10th and the 11th. And on the 11th, the devs continue on making changes on mana aspects. Starting with mana cost changes. All abilities scaling with attack power now have their mana cost scaled by 20% of bonus attack power. So not just the spell stuff and healing, but also the attack power is going to contribute towards our mana costs. Everything is going massively up. Then the Shaman got a little bit of a fix the very next day where the Shaman's totem were at 100% mana cost scaling, which was wrong. Now the Shaman's has a 20% scaling, and more specifically mana cost scaling for Shaman totems have been updated to make the Fire totem scale from spell power, the Water totem to scale from heal power, and the Earth totem now scales with attack power, which means that either you're going to be a healer, you're going to be a spellcaster, or you're just going to be a melee with attack power, because that's what this is showing. You can no longer have the scaling you had and be super DPSy and heal as well. And then the Blast Medic also got the very next day a little bit of a fix as well, where the Flashbang Shield Generator now has mana cost scaling based on weapon damage and heal power. It seems like they're changing a few things. And Flashbang Shield Generator just got the visual effects fixed. And the Infiltrator from the day before, they just improved animation and visual effects on Mind Throw twice. So that was the 11th. Now, going down to a conclusion here, let me just say that I like the direction this is going. I just wish they had a more stable idea of what they want to do and not say, well, we've been trying this for 6 months, we'll go back to the original idea. We keep seeing this a lot. It's a constant thing. I don't like that. Either you have an idea, you're trying to implement it. If it doesn't work, then you go to something else. Here it feels like the original ideas is the backup. I don't know why, but that's how I perceive the changes they're doing. I don't mind the concept of them trying to make this game a bit harder, have to make some choices, because so far, regarding artifacts, it has been very easy. Put on 6 artifacts of the same kind, and that's it. Mana cost never really mattered, so the mage didn't come into play to a lot of classes, to be honest. So that is a good change. So we have to be more picky on the targets, we have to control that, use consumables. They're going to start getting into production as well, because we're going to need a lot of them. I don't mind the changes with the scaling. So if you want to be healer, put healing power, then you're losing something else. That's how it should have been from the beginning. The only problem I do have with this, and I think most of you will as well, is the fact that, for example, a shaman or the blast medic that has invested heavily on spell power and healing power, now is going to have to pick one of the two, and it's going to have to recraft artifacts. That is the problem, not having to choose. The fact that you're going to have to recraft different artifacts in order to fulfill those 2 roles individually, so you don't over scale and you have massive amounts of mana requirements. So I know it's alpha, but these changes should have been done a long time ago. We already had to recraft artifacts after the change. Now we have to recraft again. Taking account that at the point of this update, the 10th and 11th of January patch notes that we've seen, we still don't have information about the synthesis machine, information how to craft and upgrade chips and runes. We don't have upgrade kits at the moment. We're still looking for them, and the drops are still not fixed on the bosses. Therefore, there is really not a lot of things to do in the game again, and not even the little rotation with the vendors. And that's it. We are on a good path right now, because before we only had patch notes regarding stability, server stability, stuff like that. And on this note, also to say that I've heard from a lot of people, but I didn't have time to test, maybe you can test it, that the PvP lag has been fixed and we don't like so much, it's now playable. We'll check, keep you updated on another video. That's it for today. We read the announcement they did and the patch notes for 2 days, the 10th and the 11th of January. I hope this is useful for those that don't like to read but listen. Sorry for the commentary, but that's how I do my patch notes. I hope to see you next time on the video, and always don't forget to share, like, and subscribe here on YouTube. And also you can find us Monday to Friday doing streams on YouTube and Twitch, so we can talk about this and check some things out together. Until the next time, take care.